And I was very happy to work with Barbra. I love working with Barbra. Everybody warned me before we went into it and said, oh God, Streisand. I said, and it ended up being one of the most enjoyable relationships I've ever had.
For over 60 years, Robert Redford stood as a golden icon of Hollywood, a symbol of effortless charm, striking beauty, and profound talent, who remained silent about the immense pressures that defined his life. He never spoke of the colleagues who drained his energy, the intense conflicts that unfolded behind the scenes, or the crushing weight of being America's perfect man on screen. Now, shocking details have emerged, revealing a hidden world of quiet arguments with major stars, a dangerous film shoot that nearly cost him his life, a famously dramatic relationship with Barbra Streisand, and a personal secret far greater than any career challenge: the painful loss of his own children. Today, the truth about the turbulent journey of the real Sundance Kid is finally being brought into the light. A restless search for self. Charles Robert Redford Jr. was born on August 18, 1936, in Santa Monica, California, into a world that was geographically close to Hollywood, but culturally a world away. He grew up in a working-class neighborhood, the son of Charles Robert Redford Sr., a man who delivered milk before becoming an accountant, and Martha Hart, a homemaker who instilled in her son a deep love for literature and film. Unlike many of his future peers, Redford did not come from an entertainment dynasty. His roots were firmly planted in the everyday reality of American life. His childhood was marked by profound and shaping events. His mother, who had been advised by doctors not to have more children after a difficult pregnancy with him, desperately wanted a larger family. She later became pregnant with twins, but tragically, both baby girls died shortly after birth. The greatest blow, however, came when Redford was just 18 years old. His mother passed away from septicemia, a blood infection that was a complication stemming from that fateful twin pregnancy. This sudden and devastating loss left an indelible mark on the young man, shaping his reserved and introspective nature. In addition to these tragedies, Redford's family included an older half-brother, William, from his father's previous marriage. As a young man, Redford was full of energy and drawn to the outdoors and sports. He excelled in baseball, track, and tennis, and even endured a mild case of polio. His athletic talent was his first ticket to a different life, earning him a baseball scholarship to the University of Colorado. However, the structured world of academia did not suit his restless spirit. He struggled to find his place, began drinking heavily, and eventually lost his scholarship, leading him to drop out of college. Feeling lost and without a clear path, Redford embarked on a journey of self-discovery, traveling to Europe to live a bohemian lifestyle. He wandered through France, Italy, and Spain, immersing himself in the world of art and pursuing his passion for painting. This period was not about building a career, but about finding himself, far from the expectations and pressures of his life back home. Upon his return to the United States, his path began to shift toward the arts in a more formal way. He enrolled at the Pratt Institute in New York to study stage design, which soon led him to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. It was there, later than many of his contemporaries, that Robert Redford finally began the journey that would lead him to become one of the most celebrated actors of his generation. This new direction provided a focus for his restless energy, setting the stage for a modest but promising start in the demanding world of professional acting. A humble beginning on stage and screen. Robert Redford's acting career did not begin with a cinematic explosion, but with the quiet, steady work of a stage actor in New York City. He made his Broadway debut in 1959 with a small part in a play called Tall Story. While the role itself was minor, it was a crucial first step, providing him with invaluable experience and an entry into the professional theater community. His true breakthrough on the stage arrived 4 years later, in 1963, when he was cast in the lead male role of Neil Simon's smash hit comedy, Barefoot in the Park. His performance as the conventional young husband opposite Jane Fonda was widely praised, establishing him as a Broadway star and, more importantly, catching the attention of Hollywood producers. His transition to film began with the 1962 war movie War Hunt, a low-budget production that held significant importance for his future. It was on the set of this film that he first worked with Sidney Pollack, an actor at the time who would go on to become a renowned director and one of Redford's most important collaborators, directing him in 7 classic films. Throughout the mid-1960s, Redford continued to build his reputation with a series of increasingly prominent roles. He starred alongside the luminous Natalie Wood in 2 films, Inside Daisy Clover, 1965, and This Property is Condemned, 1966. His portrayal of a closeted bisexual movie star in Inside Daisy Clover was a bold choice for the time and earned him a Golden Globe Award for New Star of the Year, a clear sign that his talent was being recognized. He also held his own in the star-studded ensemble of The Chase, 1966, which featured screen legends like Marlon Brando and his future stage partner, Jane Fonda. However, as his fame grew, Redford became acutely aware of a potential trap. With his classic good looks and blonde hair, he was quickly being labeled Hollywood's new golden boy, and he feared being typecast in superficial, romantic roles that relied on his appearance rather than his acting ability. Determined to control his own narrative and pursue more complex work, he made a career-defining decision. He turned down the role of Benjamin Braddock in the 1967 cultural phenomenon, The Graduate. The part, which ultimately launched Dustin Hoffman into stardom, was that of an awkward and naive young man, an image Redford felt was completely wrong for him. This refusal was a powerful statement of his artistic ambition. He was not interested in being just another handsome face. He was searching for roles that would challenge him and define a lasting legacy, and that opportunity was just around the corner. The breakthrough to superstardom. The year 1969 marked the moment Robert Redford transformed from a respected actor into a global superstar. His role as the charismatic outlaw Harry Longabaugh, better known as the Sundance Kid, in the film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid became instantly iconic. His on-screen partnership with Paul Newman, who played Butch Cassidy, created one of the most legendary duos in cinema history. Their easy chemistry, witty banter, and shared charm captivated audiences worldwide. The film was a massive commercial success, becoming the highest-grossing movie of the year and cementing Redford's public image as the intelligent, slightly sarcastic, and effortlessly cool anti-hero. This monumental success ushered in a golden decade for Redford, during which he starred in a string of critically and commercially successful films that solidified his status as one of Hollywood's biggest stars. In 1973, he reunited with Paul Newman for The Sting, a clever and stylish film about 2 con artists in the 1930s. The movie was another blockbuster hit, winning the Academy Award for Best Picture and earning Redford his first and only Oscar nomination for Best Actor. Throughout the 1970s, Redford carefully selected roles that were both popular and artistically significant, showcasing his remarkable range. In Jeremiah Johnson, 1972, he played a rugged mountain man seeking solitude in the wilderness, a role that resonated with his own love for nature and independence. That same year, he starred in The Candidate, a sharp political satire in which he portrayed an idealistic lawyer who runs for office, only to find his values compromised by the system. In 1973, he starred opposite Barbra Streisand in the timeless romance The Way We Were, a film that explored the tragic love between 2 people torn apart by their differing political beliefs. He continued his streak of iconic performances by taking on the enigmatic title role in The Great Gatsby, 1974, bringing the mysterious and wealthy Jay Gatsby to life. He then shifted gears to the political thriller genre with 3 Days of the Condor, 1975, playing a CIA analyst on the run for his life. Perhaps one of his most important films of the era was All the President's Men, 1976. Not only did he star as journalist Bob Woodward alongside Dustin Hoffman's Carl Bernstein, but he also served as the film's producer, tirelessly pushing to get the story of the Watergate scandal told. This project demonstrated his deep commitment to social and political issues, proving he was more than just an actor for hire. His acting style during this period was often defined by a quiet intensity. He mastered the art of playing the anti-hero who looked like a classic hero, using his natural charisma to draw audiences into the complex inner lives of his characters. A new chapter, directing and championing independent film. By the late 1970s, at the absolute peak of his acting career, Robert Redford made a bold and unexpected pivot, stepping behind the camera to become a director. His directorial debut, Ordinary People, 1980, was a quiet, emotionally devastating drama about a family unraveling after the death of a son. The film was a revelation, earning widespread critical acclaim and stunning the Hollywood establishment at the Academy Awards. It won 4 Oscars, including the 2 most prestigious awards of the night, Best Picture and Best Director for Redford himself. This incredible achievement immediately established him as a filmmaker of immense talent and sensitivity, placing him in a rare category of artists who have reached the pinnacle of success in both acting and directing. Following this triumphant debut, Redford continued to direct a number of thoughtful and well-regarded films. A River Runs Through It, 1992, was a beautifully crafted story of family and nature, while Quiz Show, 1994, a compelling drama about a 1950s television scandal, earned him another Oscar nomination for Best Director. He also directed and starred in The Horse Whisperer, 1998, further cementing his reputation for creating films with emotional depth and stunning visual landscapes. However, Redford's most enduring and transformative legacy lies not just in the films he made, but in the entire movement he created. In 1981, using the momentum from his Oscar win, he founded the Sundance Institute on his property in Utah. His vision was to create a sanctuary for independent filmmakers, a place where they could develop their unique projects free from the commercial pressures of the Hollywood studio system. He wanted to nurture new voices and support artists who told stories that were personal, risky, and unconventional. From this institute, the Sundance Film Festival was born. It grew from a small, low-key event into the most important and influential independent film festival in the world. For over 4 decades, Sundance has been the launching pad for countless groundbreaking filmmakers, including Quentin Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs and Steven Soderbergh with Sex, Lies, and Videotape. It has also premiered films that went on to win Academy Awards, such as Little Miss Sunshine and Coda. Redford used his immense fame and personal wealth not to build a bigger empire for himself, but to construct a lasting foundation for an entire generation of artists. He fundamentally changed the landscape of American cinema, giving independent film a powerful platform and a global audience. Through his work with Sundance, his passionate environmental activism, and his support for a free press, Robert Redford proved to be a true visionary who used his power to champion the causes he believed in. A private life of love, drama, and heartbreak. Behind the glamorous facade of a Hollywood superstar, Robert Redford's personal life was a journey filled with deep love, quiet devotion, and unimaginable tragedies. In 1958, long before he was famous, he married Lola Van Wagenen, a historian. He was a young, aspiring artist with only a few $100s to his name, and together they embarked on a life that would soon be thrust into the global spotlight. They built a family, having 4 children: Scott, Shauna, James, known as Jamie, and Amy. Their happiness was shattered by the first and most devastating tragedy of Redford's life. Their firstborn son, Scott, died at just a few months old from sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. This heartbreaking loss was a profound shock that left a permanent scar on Redford and his wife, a private grief they carried with them for the rest of their lives. His marriage to Lola lasted for 27 years, a remarkably long time by Hollywood standards, providing a stable foundation during his rise to fame. However, the couple divorced in 1985. In the years that followed, Redford was linked in rumors to actresses like Natalie Wood and Daryl Hannah, but he remained intensely private about his personal relationships, rarely, if ever, discussing them publicly. Tragedy struck his family again in 2020 when his son, James "Jamie" Redford, a respected documentary filmmaker and environmental activist, passed away from cancer at the age of 58. The loss of a second child was another immense sorrow for Redford to endure in his later years. After decades of being single, Redford found lasting happiness again in 2009 when he married Sibylle Sagers, a German artist 21 years his junior. Their marriage was a quiet and deeply private partnership, built on shared passions for art, nature, and environmentalism. They lived a peaceful life together at his Sundance resort in Utah, a place that had always been his spiritual sanctuary. For Redford, his family and the natural world were the true anchors of his life, providing him with a sense of peace and purpose, far away from the chaos of Hollywood. Sibylle remained by his side until his death on September 16, 2025, when he passed away at his home at the age of 89. Tensions and conflicts behind the camera. While audiences saw a calm, charming, and utterly professional Robert Redford on screen, the reality behind the scenes was often far more complex. Beneath the perfect exterior was a man dealing with intense creative friction, personality clashes with some of the biggest stars in the business, and the relentless pressure of upholding his image. Redford himself admitted that he wasn't always easy to work with, and that certain colleagues tested his patience to its limits. The most legendary of these conflicts was the silent battle of wills with Barbra Streisand during the making of The Way We Were in 1973. The film is now remembered as one of the greatest screen romances, but its production was a minefield of tension. Redford was initially hesitant to take the role of the laid-back writer Hubbell Gardner, fearing that Streisand's famously perfectionistic and controlling work style would clash with his own more spontaneous approach. Streisand, on the other hand, was determined to have Redford as her co-star. On set, their different methods led to constant friction. Streisand, fiercely protective of her passionate character, Katie Morosky, would often demand script rewrites. Redford, who preferred to keep his performances fresh by not over-rehearsing, would sometimes show up to the set late as a way to maintain a level of distance and unpredictability. The tension became so palpable that during one of their most intimate love scenes, it was rumored that Redford insisted on wearing 2 athletic supporters to create a physical barrier, a clear sign of his discomfort. The film's screenwriter, Arthur Lawrence, later described the set as an unacknowledged battlefield. Yet, paradoxically, this very real-world friction translated into an explosive and unforgettable chemistry on screen, which Redford later acknowledged was a key ingredient to the film's enduring power. His on-set difficulties were not limited to Streisand. Jane Fonda, who worked with Redford on 4 films including Barefoot in the Park and The Electric Horseman, spoke openly about his on-set demeanor. She once remarked that Redford did not like to kiss and could be grumpy, suggesting he had an issue with women. Fonda admitted to having a crush on him, but said he always maintained a professional distance, as he was married at the time. She described him as someone who was often irritable, especially if he felt people were trying to get too close or were disturbing his focus. In other films, he had to navigate the powerful and sometimes volatile personalities of his co-stars. During the filming of 3 Days of the Condor, 1975, he worked with Gene Hackman and Faye Dunaway, two actors known for their intense methods and demanding nature. Redford, who valued control and a disciplined work environment, found it exhausting to manage these larger-than-life personalities. Even in his later years, his commitment to his craft pushed him to physical extremes. At the age of 77, he insisted on performing most of his own stunts for the 2013 film All Is Lost, a nearly silent movie about a man stranded at sea. The role required him to be submerged in water for hours every day, blasted by high-pressure water hoses and thrown about in a constantly rocking boat. This grueling experience had severe consequences. He developed a serious ear infection that resulted in the permanent loss of 60% of his hearing in his left ear. He later described the ordeal by saying, "Being wet all day is depressing," calling it one of the most difficult experiences of his entire career. The film's director, J.C. Chandor, was constantly worried that a serious injury to his star would shut down the entire production. For Redford, however, the physical sacrifice was a risk worth taking for the sake of art. These behind-the-scenes struggles paint a picture of a complex man, a dedicated perfectionist whose quiet intensity could be perceived as coldness, but whose ultimate goal was always the integrity of the work itself. A lasting legacy and final years. The legacy Robert Redford leaves behind is monumental, woven into the fabric of American film and culture. Over a career spanning more than 6 decades, he was showered with the industry's highest honors. He won a Best Director Oscar for his very first film, and later received an Honorary Academy Award in 2002 for his lifetime of achievement as an actor, director, and the creator of Sundance. In 2016, President Barack Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, recognizing his profound contributions to American arts and culture. His work was also celebrated internationally, with a Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement at the Venice Film Festival in 2017 and an Honorary César Award in France in 2019. Beyond the awards, his greatest legacy is undoubtedly the Sundance Institute and its world-renowned film festival. He transformed a personal vision into a global movement, forever altering the landscape of independent cinema and providing a platform for thousands of diverse and emerging filmmakers to share their stories with the world. He was also a tireless and passionate activist, using his powerful voice to advocate for environmental protection and the importance of a free and independent press. He championed causes he believed in with the same dedication he brought to his film roles. In his later years, Redford gracefully slowed his acting work. His final leading role was in the 2018 film The Old Man and the Gun, a charming performance that served as a fitting and poignant farewell to his career as a leading man. He officially announced his retirement from acting after a brief cameo appearance in Avengers: Endgame in 2019. Robert Redford passed away peacefully on September 16, 2025, at his home in Sundance, Utah, at the age of 89. He died surrounded by his wife, Sibylle, and his family, in the heart of the natural landscape he loved so dearly and fought so hard to protect. From a restless young man searching for himself on the streets of Europe, to a golden icon of Hollywood, and finally to a visionary who reshaped an entire industry, Robert Redford lived a life of extraordinary depth and purpose. He was far more than just a handsome face on the silver screen. He was a complex artist, a gifted director, and a passionate activist who wielded his influence with grace and integrity. Despite the intense pressures of fame, the painful personal losses that haunted his private life, and the unspoken conflicts behind the scenes, he always embodied the spirit of the Sundance Kid, resilient, fiercely independent, and true to his own convictions. Robert Redford did not just play heroes in movies. He lived as a true hero in the real world, a hero for independent film, for the environment, and for generations of artists who will forever be inspired by his vision and his remarkable legacy.